Hi, everyone, and welcome back. After recently talking about sustainability reassurance and the practices around that, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite sustainable clothing companies and sustainable clothing practices. Of course, my favorite sustainable company has to be Patagonia. I think Patagonia oftentimes gets a bad rap, especially in Silicon Valley with a lot of tech bros adopting the clothing and using it as a way to promote their own businesses without having a focus on the clothing itself. Also, the clothing is sometimes on the little more expensive side, so that pushes away a lot of audiences that could typically maybe afford it or approach it in a way that is comfortable to them. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions around that. One, what is Patagonia? Patagonia, the clothing company, focuses on sustainable outreach of clothing and sustainable clothing practices through their supply chain and their ability to repurpose and even fix a lot of the clothing that is purchased from them. So let's go to the initial part. The supply chain. The supply chain of Patagonia is sustainably sourced, which is a differentiator that it has compared to a lot of other companies. A lot of clothing companies don't necessarily focus on where they get their raw materials, but rather focus on the price of them. And that, really builds a bad precedent because the quality of the clothing at its root is really poor, as well as the people who are, making the clothing are not given the equitable rights or equitable pay that is allowing them to sustain themselves. But Patagonia is different. Patagonia is a B Corp, which focuses on sustainability at its forefront. So whether it's the sourcing, the manufacturing, those are all quality controlled in environments where people are getting fair and equitable treatment and fair and equitable pay. But beyond that, the clothing itself. The clothing itself focuses on quality first because its mission is for you not to buy more. They truly want customers to have one jacket, one pair of pants, one pair of socks. And that's what Yvon Richard, the founder, has really focused on throughout his career and lifetime, is making these quality products that are able to last and are able to be repaired. So for me, for example, I don't think clothing is something that should be overpriced or unreachable for the general audience. But Patagonia is quite expensive, or other companies like Astra Tech, or even Bomba Socks, which also all focus on this niche of being able to provide sustainable clothing. They are quite expensive. I do, however, think there's a lot of ways around that. I think there's a lot of secondhand goods, secondhand Patagonia, secondhand Astra Tech that you're able to either buy from the retailer itself through their Patagonia's Wornwear program or through thrift stores or online marketplaces like Facebook. I, for example, really felt that I was outpriced from this type of clothing, but have come to realize that there is a lot on the secondhand market, which allows me to be able to purchase it and wear it. This jacket, for example, costs $10, and I think that's even cheaper than a lot of other similar products not from Patagonia. But the real difference is that if I ever rip a pair of my pants from Patagonia, if I rip this jacket, maybe if I buy a different product from them, I'm able to bring it into one of their stores or send it to one of their retailers, and they're able to go through a process of repairing that good locally. So that not only is helping the local economy because it's looking at tradespeople who are able to fix it through their store supply chain, but also it's allowing me to have a piece of clothing forever. I truly think, even though I do have other hoodies that maybe I've inherited from other people or gotten as a hand-me-down or been gifted, that this is a piece of clothing that I'll always be able to have. And I think that's the real essence of Patagonia and what they're trying to provide, is that they want their piece of clothing to be the last one that you are able to buy, that you're able to use. And that is taking clothes away from thrift stores that are going to put it in the landfill, or quick fashion products that you're going to have for maybe for a few weeks or a few months and then never have it again. I think looking at a lot of clothing or looking at your own closet, for example, you're able to find pieces that, you've maybe only worn once and since you've bought it, or you only wear it once a month or once every few months. And the reality of that is you could love this piece of clothing to an infinite degree, but if you're not wearing it, what's the point in owning it? And I think there's a different part of that like you can have multiple pieces, or you can have clothing that's functional for different environments. Maybe it's for work or business or sports, or for example. But if you're able to find things that you can truly last and that you're able to use for multiple occasions and then get it repaired, you're really sustaining the life of that piece of clothing, and also creating a story with it at the same time. I think for me, Patagonia and a lot of the pieces that I have, especially this, which is a staple piece in my wardrobe, I'm able to wear for multiple occasions, but gather memories through that piece of clothing. I think a lot of people, maybe even yourself, can feel the same, that they have a piece of clothing that is, their favorite piece of clothing, and they have memories associated with that, or they feel like they look really good in it. But if you do, you should try to wear it a lot. You should try to wear it and rip it and scuff it, or, even just, take care of it and be able to repair it so you're able to sustain the life and have it forever. And I think a lot of production and consumerism has gotten away from being able to think about it like that. They look at H&M and think, okay, a $5, $10 t-shirt, I'll have it, I'll wear it a couple of times, and it's only $10, so I can get rid of it. But, it's not helping the environment. It's not helping your ability to feel consistent about yourself. It's forcing you to, have to go through that process again and shop more and contribute to all these environments that aren't healthy. I think even looking beyond just your personal purchasing of a quick consumer product, it's thinking about the retailer. Like, the retailer has to produce X amount of these goods, and once that sale is over, or once that season is over, or if people, aren't buying it, what's going to happen? Those are all going to end up in landfills. We think that these are going to end up in other countries, but the fact of the matter is other countries have their own ability to produce clothing, and that we're not unique in being able to, give them clothing and be charitable, that, they're able to do that themselves. And by us trying to contribute to that, we're actually taking away from their ability to be self-sustainable and contributing to a globalization that's really not healthy for other countries' development. But yet we feel good about ourselves. So we really have to understand what's the most important when looking at our own purchasing power and brands that we like Patagonia or Bombas, and understand, how can we make a difference that's sustainable and long-term, rather than, taking the easy way out of it just to feel good about ourselves. I would love that if you do have any questions, please comment them below. I'd love to be able to make another video on something that you're interested about, or a question that is common. And I'd love to really keep this series about sustainable and reassurance sustainability going. So if you could subscribe or leave a like or comment, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and have a great day.